Y'all doing? I'm going to talk to you today, part two, Wicked Pastors, part two. I'm going to talk about the situation in Sarasota, Florida. Now, normally I do not call names, okay? But, in this case, I'm going to call names, okay? There are some videos where I've called names, but, this is the exception where I am going to call names, okay? There is news from Sarasota that a Bishop Henry Porter, he has been arrested for child molestation. Now, it is a small world, but I know him. Now, years ago, I went to, in 1983, 1984, okay? I went to his satellite church in Panama City, Florida. And I went there for probably less than a year. And I saw him preach once. That was the first and the last time I saw him. Now, I knew some people from that church, and they had nothing but good things to say about, he was Pastor Henry Porter and his wife, Cynthia. Now, she passed away in 2005. But these people, the few people that I met at that church, had nothing but good things to say about them. And I thought that there was such an anointing on him and his wife's life that they couldn't even get a traffic ticket. I didn't think they could not even do anything wrong. I mean, much less a traffic ticket, okay? Because I thought there was such an anointing on their lives. Now this whole situation with him being molested for child molestation over a 20 to 40 year period comes as a complete shock to me. Because I did not think in 10,000 years that he was like that. I just did not know. I never thought he would do something like that. It wasn't in my radar. Now, I clashed with the church. One of the reasons why I clashed because, Bishop Henry Porter said women cannot wear fingernail polish, brightly colored fingernail polish, or cosmetics. And now I saw a lot of women cheat on that. But I've been wearing cosmetics since I was 15, probably 14 too, but let's say 15. And I have always thought that no preacher's going to tell me whether or not to wear cosmetics. So I clashed for that reason. And there were other reasons why I clashed with the church. So I stopped going to the church for a while. And eventually I left the state. But see, now I know why he did not want women to wear the church, because he did not want the men to be attracted to the women. He wanted the men to be attracted to him. Okay? Now I know that, okay? And eventually, you move on with your life, and I left the state. And the Lord protects us in ways that we don't even know. The Lord did not want me to have anything to do with that church. I got completely away from that church, completely out of the state. And the Lord did not want me to have anything to do with that church. You know what? If I had stayed with that church, he may have molested mine, okay? And that would have been horrible. I would have been really pissed off then. Okay, somebody's going to die, okay? But the Lord did not want me to be in a church like that, where the bishop, the head of the church, is a practicing homosexual, and children. Now, look, I don't have an issue with gay people. I don't have an issue with consenting adults. But I do have an issue when a gay person molests a child. I have issue when the heterosexual person molests a child. I am pro-human rights. I'm not anti-gay anything. I don't have an issue, like I said, with consenting adults. But I do have an issue when I don't care whether they're heterosexual or homosexual, when they start molesting children. I have issues with that. Now, I submit to you that within a year of me leaving, those people in the church that I knew that he was a practicing homosexual and child molester. I submit to you that the pastor of that church I went to in Panama City and his wife knew he was a practicing homosexual and a child molester. I submit that to you. But black people like to cover up for their pastors. Now, like I said, the Lord protected me from that church. He did not want me to go to that church. Okay. Now, these alleged things occurred over 20 or 40 year period. The mayor of Sarasota said everybody knew it. He said everybody in church knew it. Everybody in Sarasota knew it. He said that the district attorney knew. He said the police department knew and other attorneys knew. So why wasn't he arrested 20 to 40 years ago when everybody knew what he was? Well, my theory is that he probably paid off, the police department, $20,000. In a town, a small town like Sarasota, $20,000 is a lot of money for the police department. You take like drug lords, they pay the police department all the time. This drug lord from a small town, he probably paid the police $5,000 a year. The police left him alone from the time he was a teenager to the time he was arrested. And the only reason why he was arrested is because he went interstate. He went over state lines, which got the DEA's attention. Okay, but I submit to you that he probably has been paying off this small town police department for years. So my theory is, and I could be wrong, why wasn't Porter prosecuted 20, 40 years ago if everybody knew about it? Why? Because, if he gives the police department $20,000, that's a lot of money for that small town. Okay, $20,000 is not a lot of money in the church. I mean, they get that in the 9 o'clock offering. In a church that size, okay, that's only one Sunday's offering. I mean, $1,500 is just a drop in the bucket. So it's nothing for a church to get 9 o'clock service. You got 9 o'clock and the 11 o'clock service. It's nothing for the church to get $20,000. So $20,000 paid to the police department is not a lot of money. So why didn't the police department prosecute him? Well, you know why? Because this young man named Chadwick, he talks about it on Facebook and YouTube, and that embarrasses the police department. So they say, he embarrassed us, so they got to arrest him. But over the 20 or 40 year period, the mayor said everybody knew about. Why didn't they arrest him then? Well, look, just give the police department $20,000 to keep their mouth shut, not to leave him alone. And the other thing is that, black children are not important in the whole scheme of things. They don't care if he molests and rapes black children. Nobody cares about black children. But see, it would have gotten the police's attention if he had touched a white kid. But, as long as he molests and rapes black children, who cares? Nobody cares about black children. Now, there was a list given to the police department in 2001 of 40 individuals who had been molested by this man. And the police said, we can't do anything about it. The statute of limitations, which is 4 years in Florida, has run out. Well, why didn't it run out for Chadwick? Well, Florida has a law that if you get a memory of molestation, you can still bring charges. But look, why didn't it run out for Chadwick? Why? Because Chadwick embarrassed the police department. That's why. They said, okay, Chadwick is on Facebook, Chadwick is on YouTube, he is embarrassed us, let's arrest this man. So they arrested him. But all this 40-year period, he didn't touch him. Because he gave him probably $20,000, maybe more. Gave the police department $20,000 to $40,000, maybe more, okay? So he was untouchable for 30 to 40 years. And like I said, black children are not important in the whole scheme of things. They don't care if he raped boys, girls, black kids, as long as they black kids. But you know what? I bet if he had raped a white girl, he would have been under the jail 20 to 40 years ago. So Chadwick, this young man named Chadwick, embarrassed the police department. That's why they arrested him. Because he embarrassed the police department. And that's the tragedy. Black children just not important in the whole scheme of things. He was allowed to rape black boys and black girls over 20 to 40 year period. I submit to you, look, the mayor said everybody in the church knew. Everybody in the church knew. You know what? I understand some things now. I understand a whole lot of things now. That's why he didn't want women to wear makeup and fingernail polish, because he wanted the men to be attracted to him. And to be honest, his wife knew, because you cannot keep a secret like that in a marriage. You can't. He committed adultery against his wife probably since the day one. Day one they've been married. He committed adultery on his wife with boys. Then why didn't he just go to the street? Okay, why? Because, these young men and boys and girls are in the church. They kind of clean. The streets got all kinds of diseases. So he don't want those, the sex workers, the male or transvestite sex workers from the street. He wants these clean kids, in the church who are kind of clean. And I tell you one thing, he can rock some makeup, though. I tell you that. But I'll be honest with you. I hate to see him go down like this. I mean, let's say he is 72 years old. He's coming towards the end of his life. I hate to see him arrested like this. I hate to see him like that. Now, either he's going to get 20 years and he's going to die in prison, or they're going to dismiss all charges, for lack of evidence. Because where's the forensic evidence? All the forensic evidence is gone. They should have told him 20, 30 years ago. But why do black people always protect their pastors? You know what? We have a habit of doing that. Leave our pastor alone. He's our pastor. Just leave him alone. No matter what he's done, this is our pastor. But you know what? I question if he was even called to preach. Okay, don't you think God knew he was a homosexual pedophile? The Lord knew. I've never known the Lord to call people like that to preach. But look, he may have been put under pressure to preach by his family. Well, look, you're brilliant. You graduated valedictorian of high school class. You have a degree in mathematics. You can play the piano. You can sing. Go preach. Okay. And he really is. If you just look at some of the videos, he's really an academic. He's an academic. He likes the theater. It seems to me that he really wanted to write music for the theater, write music and songs for the theater. But black people always put pressure under, on the son. Okay, you're smart. You can play the piano. Go preach. And there was, God never called him to preach in the first place. To be honest, I hate to see him go down like that. I hate to see him maybe spend the rest of his natural life in jail. But you know what? We need to start valuing our children. And we need to start praying for our children. And we need to value our children instead of let them be raped and molested by this man who's in authority. By a man like that who's in authority. Have a nice day.